see again. Oh, look how pretty that is.
Fun stuff.
I love this part. Oh, that is beautiful, Chef. Bon appetit. Hey everybody, I'm Vera Stewart and welcome to the VeryVera Show. Thanks for having me into your home today. And speaking of your home, I've got a magazine that needs to be on your coffee table. We're sponsored today by Okra magazine. They have stories, recipes, articles that you're going to absolutely love. And today we're going to feature 3 of those. We're going to start with a Muddy Pond Sorghum butter roasted chicken that is fantastic. And you're going to learn more about this family. And then how about a Southern stir fry with turnips and greens, but the star of that show is the pan, a Jed Curtis hand-forged carbon steel pan that is phenomenal. And then for dessert, how about a lemon icebox pie with a saltine crust? It is fantastic. And all of the recipes today are from my good friend and former guest on our show, Virginia Willis. In Vera's Corner, we're going to go over a derby pie recipe since that's coming up, and we've got a fantastic giveaway today. So let's get started in the kitchen. I'm so excited about this recipe for the Muddy Pond Sorghum butter roasted chicken. And if you're looking for a really unique way to cook chicken on the grill or in the oven, this is absolutely the recipe for you. And Virginia Willis thought so too. When she wrote her Secrets of the Southern Table, which is her newest cookbook, she found this family, she loved everything they did, and she thought this recipe was very unique, and so did we. So we've started with spatchcocking the chicken, and this is just a process we did with the turkey at Thanksgiving, where you take the spine out of the chicken and then just lay it flat. It makes it cook a lot faster, and for the brining process for us, it's going to penetrate the chicken even better. So let's talk about the brine. The brine is water and salt and sorghum. So this is where this Muddy Pond sorghum really comes in so great, because it's rich, it's dark, that flavor is gonna go all through the meat. Then the next thing we did after it's made is we've chilled it down. If you want to do this in a hurry, you can do a concentrated version of the brine and then add cold water to it and ice that will make the process go a lot faster. Then you add your spatchcocked chicken to the brine, and it's only going to have to brine for about an hour and a half for all the reasons that I've just described. So once that process is taken over, then you're going to take it out, pat it dry with paper towels, and you're ready to go. So that's where we are at this point. We've got the chicken completely ready. So now we're gonna make the actual basting sauce with the sorghum. So what I've got here is a little bit of butter. I'm gonna add this wonderful sorghum into this. And let me tell you, this is a family business. This business was started in the early 80s. And this family had 3 sons, all of whom are married, and now everybody in the family participates in this business, all the way to the grandchildren. And, you know, they used to go out into the fields and cut the sugar cane down with machetes, but now they've got a process going with a blade that's on the back of the tractor that does that for them. Okay, so that's blended together, and I've got this just on a medium heat. So now I'm going to add in my paprika. And this is just going to cook down just long enough for the flavors to be mixed together. So while that's cooking for just a minute, I'm going to go ahead and put some pepper on the chicken. And this family, we've just had such a good time talking with them about how this process is started, and the fact that they process the sugar cane, and that the whole town smells like it when it's that season, that they're kind of noted in that area for it. So now I'm just gonna baste a really nice coat of this on the chicken. And see, the color is what I'm talking about when you cook this in the oven. It's just gonna have almost a crimson color to it. And so I've prepared my broiling pan over here with a little bit of aluminum foil on the bottom, and I've sprayed the top. So now I'm just gonna flip this chicken over, He's gonna take a belly flop and get that spread out again. Let me bring this over a little bit closer. And now I'll continue that. So in the book, Virginia goes into great length of detail about the family and how this business got started. And you know, for me as a small business person, it's so wonderful to read these sorts of stories about the things that, you know, families do and the brands that they create. So when you think about sorghum, you think about the Appalachian Mountains and the hills of the Appalachians and how these brothers have come together as a family unit to create a family business. And this sorghum really, for us in this area, a lot of times we think about maple syrup, but this sorghum has such a rich, deep sugar flavor from that sugar cane, and the color of it is just wonderful in the baking process. So this is actually going to go into a 350-degree oven. It's going to cook, it's going to brine up. We're going to go back and baste it again in just a few minutes, and when we come back, we're going to get started on this stir fry with turnips and greens. You don't want to miss that, so come on back. Welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining me, we are partnering with Okra magazine today to do recipes and people that they are featuring in their April issue of the magazine. And the recipes are from Virginia Willis's new cookbook, Secrets of the Southern Table, which you are absolutely going to want to put in your cabinet of cookbooks. So that sorghum butter roasted chicken is in the oven. Muddy Pond Sorghum. The aroma in this kitchen right now must smell like their town when they're preparing this sorghum, because it just smells wonderful in here. So we are getting started on this wonderful stir fry that has turnips and greens in it. It's so good. So we've started with the star of the show for this part is this steel forged handmade pan by Jed Curtis. It is just phenomenal. If you think a cast iron skillet's got some weight on it, this skillet is amazing. And he actually signed this pan for me. I am so thrilled. I'm gonna hang it on the wall in my kitchen when I'm not using it. I'm just excited. It is a piece of art. It takes him about 8 hours to make one, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about him in just a few minutes. So let's get going on this recipe. You know, Secrets of the Southern Table has a lot of history in the book. Virginia went to a lot of research to find how our cuisines in the South came together. And you know, the Chinese immigrants came to the South and kind of took their style of cooking and incorporated some of our Southern ingredients to it. So we're gonna start with a little bit of sherry and some chicken stock. And what I've got in the pan here is a little bit of olive oil and some country ham. So we've just cooked that down. You see that golden look there. And so the next ingredient is just gonna be a little bit of garlic. And of course, if you want to make this a vegetarian dish, you could leave off the ham. So I'm going to turn the heat up to about a medium. Now the next ingredient is minced ginger. So I just took my fresh ginger, I peeled it, I cut it in half, and then I used my mandolin slicer to get a good flake on it, get really thin slices, and then I chopped it up really fine. All right, the next ingredient is just some good old Southern Vidalia onions. So that's where we meet the South with this particular dish. So this is gonna cook down, and just that ginger, y'all, is just so good. Then the next ingredient, how about a good old turnip green? So I've peeled the root of the turnip, and then I've, again, used the mandolin to make my nice little slices here. So this adds just a really unique element to that. And in this pan, as it starts to season, and even today, the blue look to this pan was just so beautiful. And Jed tells us that it will continue to change as we continue to use it. So you'll be following me on that on Instagram on what we do with this pan and what it looks like. All right, so now I'm gonna add in my turnips. And just like any other green, we're gonna add this a little bit at a time so this can cook down and we can add some more. So let me tell you a little bit about Jed Curtis. You're going to want to know this guy and read more about him in the Okra magazine this month because they did a feature article on him. He actually, and just remember, when your child tells you where they're going on a field trip, you need to pay attention, because when he was in the first grade, he went to a museum that had a blacksmith that was doing a demonstration, and he never forgot it. He started blacksmithing when he was 13 years old, and just is truly an artist, and it's a dying art that he is keeping alive. So he actually made his first pan when he was 15 and formed a company in 2012 called Heart and Spade. And so certainly we want you to read about him in the magazine. We want you to follow him on Instagram. He's only 35 years old and has been working hard since he was 15. All right, so I'm going to add in some more of these greens. Also, a little bit of salt and pepper. And then, how about some honey to this? And we'll continue to add the greens. And so in Vera's Corner today, the other occasion that's coming up soon is the Kentucky Derby. I'm going to give you a quick and easy recipe for Derby pie, and then we're going to get started on that lemon icebox pie with the saltine crust. So I'm having fun. I hope you are. Come back in just a minute. You know, the Kentucky Derby is coming up in just a few weeks, and of all the traditions surrounding it, my favorite is the Derby pie. Today I'm going to share a really simple, easy recipe. Derby pie originated over 50 years ago in Prospect, Kentucky at the Melrose Inn. The family recipe is now produced by Kern's Kitchen Bakery and is heavily guarded. The recipe may not be the original, but it's similar and so delicious. All you need is a frozen pie shell, a cup of chocolate chips, 2 eggs, 1/4 cup of flour, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 1 1/4 sticks of butter melted, a cup of sugar, and a cup of pecans chopped. Preheat your oven to 300 degrees. Start by spreading your chocolate chips in the bottom of your pie shell. In a medium-sized mixing bowl, stir together your remaining ingredients. Pour the mixture over the chocolate chips, being sure to distribute evenly. Bake at 300 degrees for 45 to 55 minutes or until set in the middle. Remove from the oven and allow to cool completely before slicing. Cut yourself a slice and enjoy. This Derby tradition can be used all year long. Welcome back, everybody, and I'm having the best time today. I'm loving everything we're doing from this new issue of Okra magazine, all the recipes from Secrets of the Southern South, and the families and friends that I've made putting together this episode today. So I'm really happy you're joining me. And so we had some things going on during the break. We finished the wonderful stir fry with the greens, and so I had to add the greens slowly. And as those cooked down, I added the sherry and the stock, and I mean, the aroma from that is amazing, not to mention just holding the handle of that pan. And then I had to check on my little chicken, and it was just doing great, but I wanted to baste it a little bit more with that wonderful Muddy Pond Sorghum. I just put it all over it. It's just going to be wonderful, real crisp and delicious. So now we're going to get started on this pie recipe that's one of the recipes out of Virginia's book. And this is a crust that is amazing. That's what makes this so unique. So let's talk about how we did this. This is a saltine crust. I'm using a tart pan, which will separate the bottom from the sides, which will make you be able to show the actual crust itself when you present it for your guest. So what we've done here is I put the saltines in a Ziploc bag. I crushed them really finely with a rolling pin. So what you're looking for is something that looks like your graham cracker crust that you're familiar with, so that you can add the butter to it and it has a nice consistency. Once you've added the sugar and the butter, what you're looking for there is for those crumbs to come together, for them to stick together. So just use your spatula, press it up against the bowl that you're using, and make sure you've got the right consistency. Then you're going to pour it into your pie tart shell, and if you don't have a shell like that, you can use a pie plate. Take a measuring cup and firmly press down on it so it'll stick together. And then you're going to put that in the oven and bake it for about 10 minutes. So I've got that ready. Now we're ready for the amazing filling. And this may be very familiar to you. We're going to start with sweetened condensed milk. So my lemon icebox pie that I've made for years uses these same ingredients, but you chill it. And on this one, you actually put it back in the oven. So now I'm going to add my egg yolks to this mixture. And I've got a towel under my glass bowl so that this will not move around. So what you're doing here with your whisk is you want to use it like a spoon. If you use it like a whisk, you're going to incorporate air. So you're using it basically just to stir around. So now I'm going to add in some kosher salt. And this is the best part. These are the 3 squeezed lemons. So this is where you want to go a little bit faster. All right, so this recipe belongs to Chef Bill Smith from Crook's Corner in Chapel Hill. And he and Virginia got together and he allowed her to publish this recipe in the book. So certainly if you're in that area, I'm sure you're very familiar with this recipe and how good it is. But this is one of those things where he took something that was traditional and he put his own twist on it with this saltine crust. And I've even thought I might even do a chocolate chess pie with this same dessert. All right, so now I'm ready to pour this into my pan. And you want to make sure you evenly distribute that. And it's going to go back in the oven at 350 for about 10 minutes. So when we come back, we've got all the elements of this wonderful show today, and not only that, a fantastic giveaway. So get ready, come back with me. I'm just so excited about the show today and just the partnership with Okra magazine and the fact that they have introduced me to some old friends and some new friends. The stories, the craftsmen, the chefs, the recipes are just amazing. So I'm really looking forward to sharing more of this as we go through with more episodes with Okra. So let's talk about what we did today. We partnered with Virginia Willis on her new cookbook, Recipes from My Southern Table, and we've got 3 great recipes, 3 wonderful presentations. So we started with the Muddy Pond Sorghum butter basted chicken that we spatchcocked, cooked really quickly, but it is golden brown. It is going to be delicious. And like I said, this spatchcock technique will help you with your turkey, with your chicken, but the Gunther family and learning more about them is in Virginia's book. She features so much about them, so we hope that you will pick that book up and also enjoy some of the other recipes from there. And then our stir fry with the turnips and the greens, the ham, all of the other spices, but the star of the show, again, was the pan, the hand-forged pan that Jed Curtis made. It is absolutely beautiful. You can see that I'm serving from it. It's gonna hang on the wall in my kitchen because he has signed this one for me, so I want you to read more about him as well. He is also featured in the magazine this month. And then finally, the lemon icebox pie and the saltine crust is just terrific. And this is one of those recipes that Virginia found, the author of the recipe, and featured it. All right, so we've got a fantastic giveaway today. We're gonna start with a subscription to Okra magazine for a person in every one of our 13 markets. We're gonna add to that one of Virginia Willis's cookbooks for the same person in each market. Then we're gonna throw in a bottle of the Muddy Pond Sorghum for the same 13 recipients in this market. but then we're going to have a grand prize winner. From those 13, we're going to choose one that is going to get one of Jed Curtis's pans. So this is what we want you to do. We want you to go to our Facebook and Instagram pages. We want you to read the directions on how to enter. We want you to certainly tell us where you're watching the show, because that matters, of course, in the giveaway. But then once you do this, we want you to get the magazine anyway. We want you to get the cookbook. We want to see you on our Instagram page with some of the things that you've made from the show today. And then in Vera's Corner today, we talked about Derby pie. And you know, this time of year is such a special occasion in that part of our country. In the Kentucky area, with the big hats and all the glamour and everything, all the tradition that is served around that Kentucky Derby is phenomenal. So we hope you'll try this Kentucky Derby pie that is so simple and easy to make, and make that part of your tradition. So with this sort of presentation, we've been earthy today. We've used sunflowers, we've got metal, we've got burlap. I've thrown in the sterling silver because I always think that brings me back to my roots. So as I always say on the VeryVera Show, no matter what you do, do it in good taste, and I hope that you will not only enter the giveaway, but come back and join us again next week for another episode of the VeryVera Show.
To see what's cooking with the VeryVera Show, follow us on Facebook and Instagram and on Cottage Ketchup.